construction industry as a whole. So construction industry, in that first, if you'll see what is the meaning of the term construction. So it is a process of constructing something by the man for one purpose or another. So it may be construction of road, bridge, dam, then dwelling place, or an airport, commercial building, etc. If you are going to see the types of construction, it can be residential building, institutional and commercial building, specialized industrial building, or infrastructure and heavy construction. So construction industry, commonly referred as CI, is an industry which is involved in planning, execution, and evaluation of all types of civil works. If we'll see the term project, so it is some form of human activity that has a beginning, a productive phase, and a end. So it is creating something that did not exist before. If we talk about construction project, it is an investment of scarce resources with a definite objective, time horizon, and geographical boundary. Construction projects are mostly constructed on the ground and they are exposed fully to the local environment. Construction projects has a different scale and complexities. It can range from improvements to large investments. But every project will have an investment of resources and a cause of irreversible change. These 2 points are very important while we are thinking about any construction project. Common characteristics of construction project will include it has a specific starting and finishing time. It has usually geographical and some type of organizational boundary. It has clearly defined set of objectives. It entails the investment of scarce resources in the expectation of future benefits. It may be planned, financed, and implemented as a unit. So, study of construction will cover two main themes. First is construction technology. So, it is related to methods and technologies which are used to place physical material and elements of construction at the job site. Second is construction management. Now, it will address how the available resources they will be applied. So if we'll say construction management, it involves management of money, manpower, material, and machines. Means basically 4 type of M's will come under the topic construction management. If we'll see the photographs, many great construction projects will have marked a significant milestone in human history. We can name some great examples like pyramids, then Brooklyn Bridge, Panama Canal, or the Euro or the transatlantic channel tunnels. It was a transatlantic tunnel. It was going below the ocean body. Now, if we are going to see this construction industry, it can be categorized into 3 major sectors. So they are transportation and communication sector, water and energy sector, and third is building and other physical infrastructure. If we'll see the transport and communication sector, it will include roads, railways, airway, and telecommunication related physical works. Second sector is water and energy works. It includes hydropower development, then transmission lines, wind power generation, and irrigation projects. Third sector is building and other physical infrastructure. Construction industry is among the leading industry in producing the employment. It contributes to the overall development of nation. It also contributes by developing different infrastructure projects. So here we can say these are the 4 major sectors which form the construction industry. transportation or the infrastructure development, energy sector, then urban development, and water supply, or we can say distribution network. So different construction industry attributes. Among them, if you are going to see nature of construction industry, it depends upon nature of production. That is what is actually happening on the site. So it includes there is a change in supply chain relationship at the production site. Then this industry will be exposed to, we can say, rather unpredictable weather conditions. It may have problems like seasonal disruption in the production lines. It may have some health and safety concern of the labors or safety construction concern of the equipments. Then another is the what type of product or what type of construction is going to be happen. So it can be large construction, heavy construction. Then we can use some durable equipments, expensive equipments. There can be heterogeneous. Some materials may be mobile, some may be immobile materials like heavy cranes or the fixed formworks. So these are going to affect the construction industry. Further, what is actual demand of the product? Now, demand, it is usually dependent upon other goods and services. Demand cannot be controlled by the industry itself. In majority of cases, clients define the requirements before industry is going to supply. So the time lag between the demand and supply, it is going to be very crucial to decide the demand of the product. Next important factor is the workforce. This industry by its nature has a domestic and labor intensive industry. Even after many advanced technologies, still it is dependent upon mainly the manual work, or it is a labor oriented industry. Now the construction is actually team output, therefore it requires a motivated and skilled worker, means it requires a good team. So what defines the uniqueness of construction industry? This industry is actually fragmented industry, means it is composed of many allied sectors, or it includes consultation of different experts. So if we try to put down different sequential process, first what is the need of the client, that has to be found out, that has to be highlighted. Second comes the design, planning and design for whatever the has been needed. So if there is a need of building, the plans design can be made by the appropriate consultant, and then it is forwarded to the governing authority for appropriate sanction. After sanctioning, it will go to the tendering or the bidding stage, and it has to be approved by the client. So what will be the budgeted cost, what will be the type of construction, what will be the plans, these all have to be approved from the client. After approval and finalization of the bid, contractor is appointed and contractor will do the actual construction activity. So if we'll see at the top, we have written what are the sequential processes and what experts will be required, or what are the project participants who are going to perform this task or this process. If we'll see amount of labor activity with respect to time, so here we can say as the project starts, the initiating process, it will require less time and less amount of activities are involved. Even in the planning process, at initial stage, it is going to consume time and more efforts, but with respect to time, as all the plans are finalized, in later stage, the amount of activity will be less, it will only require some revision work. Now the execution process, initially the pace of work is less, but as the time passes, it requires substantial or large amount of labor work, it involves large amount of activities, and by the end of the process it will be completely become zero. Then controlling process, so throughout the project there should be a proper control by a proper authority. Then at the last comes the closing procedures, means sanction from the different authorities, approvals from the authorities, they will be initiated only at the later part of the construction activity. So when we see what are the uniqueness of the construction industry, importantly, the largely uncertain. It is having transient organization nature. It is having unpredictable workload, and it is highly subjected to the environmental impacts. Basically, what comes is the role of construction industry. Construction industry is most important enabler for social, economic, and political development of country. It will provide a basis upon which other sectors can grow. Therefore, by constructing the physical facilities which are required for the production and distribution of goods and services, this fact will be extremely viable, or it will be fit when we are talking about the developing nations, because it will include the projects that are highly intersectoral, because construction industry is going to provide a source of employment, and it is going to demand huge capital budget of that nation. This figure is showing the construction project life cycle. So the project life cycle of any construction project will be a process through which the project is implemented from cradle to grave, means from start to end. So if you'll see, it is actually a complete cycle. So as per the market demands, so some conceptual planning is done, then feasibility study is done. So here we are defining the project, its objective and scope. Then through the design and engineering department, we are preparing various conceptual plans, preliminary designs. Then the plan specifications are finalized. It goes for the procurement and construction activity. After construction activity, it ends and we get a ready project. So this ready project will be available for the occupants to occupy and start their work. So this involves the acceptance of the facility, its checking, then its use. During its use, it requires regular operation and maintenance activity. This will be required throughout its useful life. By the end of its useful life, you have to finally do disposal of this facility. It may include demolition or uh, dismantling. And after dismantling, as per the new market needs, again the cycle is going to repeat, and it will start construction of the new facility. Here we have to see who are the stakeholders or important participants of the construction sector. So construction industry involves many people, then many organizations, agencies, ministries. It will include designers, contractors, project managers, equipment suppliers, material suppliers, testing laboratories, etc. It can be architect, owner, supplier, vendors, general public, engineers, contractors, then different subsidiaries, etc. are going to contribute to the construction sector. Here we have divided the participants into two parts. One is the contractual stakeholders and non-contractual stakeholders. Contractual stakeholders means they will be involved only during the construction phase for short duration of time. So they will be employer, client, and they will be appointed after proper legal document. So it will be employer-client relation, then consultant and engineer appointment, and the contractor appointment. The non-contractual stakeholders, these will be the public agency, that is statutory agencies like suppose fire department, then public authority or municipal authority for different permits, then the suppliers or end users. So non-contractual means there will be no any agreement between the owner of the construction activity or the project and the user. So there cannot be any agreement with the government authority or fire department or with the suppliers. It just depend upon the give and take policy. Here we want to see different stakeholders. First is suppose that we are talking about the employer or the client. So it is the initiator or the owner of the project. It can be either the general public, private client, or government body. The client, it is actually the most important party who should be active from inception to completion and even for the post occupancy maintenance. Now, what are the duties of the clients? So he should have the availability and he should bear the availability and the cost of the land. Then he has to look after the location and accessibility of the site. He should look after the provide required infrastructure. He should look after the legal constraints. He should check the current and future development. He should check the soil characteristics of the land. Then he should make the site prepare for the construction, and he should obtain different permits. Second comes the consultant. Main role of consultant is to interpret client's project requirement into specific design, possibly the supervision activity. The consultant team will do following tasks. They will ascertain, interpret, formulate client's requirement into a understandable project. They will design the project to its requirement and constraints, which are imposed by the different statutory obligations, technical feasibility, environmental conditions or factors, site conditions, cost, etc. They will assess the client's cost limit in order to decide what type of material to be used. Then they will prepare the contract documents. They will supervise the project and constantly inform the progress to the client. They will approve different payments. They will resolve any contractual disputes. They will issue provisional and final acceptance certificates. Third stakeholder is the contractor. Now this group, they are established mainly in the commercial companies. So through a contract for the construction or development projects. Now responsibility of the contractor will be carry out full site investigation prior to submission of tender, then actually submit the tender, then after grant of tender, plan, program, control the construction process, notify the consultant about any delays, discrepancies or problems, effect all payment or make all the payment to his employees, supplier or subcontractors, do rectification of all defects upon completion of the works, and thereby provide post occupancy repairs and maintenance if at all they are required. What are the resources of the construction industry? So following industry resources are vital that make up the integral components of construction industry. It includes human resources, means the labor or the workers. Financial resources means different form of funds. Information resources, it may be testing report, soil investigation report, environment factors, etc. Physical resources like material, equipment and other assets. And finally, services and management of consultant, contractor and vendors. What is the current status of the local construction industry? Therefore, it can be distinguished by there is a lack of clear development objectives in the construction industry. Then there is an inadequate coordination of planning between the industry and the infrastructure programs in various sectors of the economy. There is a heavy or too much dependence on the foreign resources for the materials, equipments, expertise, which continue to be supplied a major extent of foreign consultants and contractors. There are some transport bottlenecks in the distribution of construction materials and equipment. There is inadequate information of the local construction regulations and standards. Again, there is a control of construction sector by small or medium-sized firms and parasital construction enterprises, which are operating at a low level of capacity with inadequate working capital. There is inadequate and ineffective organizations which are representing the interest only of the contractors, consultants and engineers. Again, there are inadequate number of suitably qualified and experienced personnel at all levels. It may be engineers, technicians, mechanics, operators, foremen, etc. There is an inadequate consideration given to use of local resources, especially the participation of labor-based works. There is a little or no consideration given to the concept or cost of maintenance as a component in investment cost. Now, the general state of the domestic construction industry is characterized by the 5 major deficiencies. So this overall, which we have seen earlier, can be simplified in these 5 points. So there is an inadequate capital. There are use of old or limited number of equipments. There are low level of equipment availability and utilization. There is a lot of deficiency in technical, managerial, financial, and entrepreneur skills. Also, there is a insufficient and ineffective use of labor-based construction and maintenance technology. We have to see what are the challenges of domestic construction industry. So these challenges are lack of equipment and materials, obstructions posed by the government regulations. There is a scarcity of finance. Big projects will off limit to the domestic firms. There is the inefficient custom and clearance, the lack of skilled labor and construction delays. It is delayed in These delays are very much harmful for the construction projects.